Okay, I'll go ahead and jump in here. If anybody comes in, I'll just have to figure out who I am later. Excuse me. Thank you all for being here. And I'm going to talk a little bit about Choices, which is a addiction awareness program. I'm Mike Stone. I'm Executive Director of the Kentucky Council on Problem Gambling. And very quickly, our council is neither for nor against gambling. Gambling has existed as long as man has been on the earth. In fact, they've unearthed prehistoric digs where they've found bones that have been shaved that were used as the same as dice. So as long as man's been around, there's been gambling. And what our purpose is as the council is to raise awareness that some people cannot gamble safely. Whether it's learned response, something in brain chemistry, they cannot stop gambling until it becomes a harmful activity. Fortunately, that's only about 1% of the population. About 3% of the population is also has a gambling problem, meaning they meet one of the diagnostic criteria, but they haven't completely developed a full addiction. So about 5% or less of people cannot gamble in a healthy, safe manner. That means 95% of people do it for entertainment. And we don't have a problem with those folks, but we're trying to raise that awareness level and also promote that if there is a gambling problem that someone has, that there are ways to get help for that. So that's our focus as the Kentucky Council on Problem Gambling. And one other quick piece about that, the national statistics that were originally done by the Harvard Medical School Division on Addictions in 1995 and then replicated with the National Opinion Research Survey in 1999 indicated that the addiction rate for teens gambling, adolescents, is 3 times the adult rate. So if the adult rate is about 1%, adolescence is about 3%. So it's something to be aware of with your profession. Why I'm here is to present this Choices program to you and to also stress that it's about communications and it's a broader communication than just about gambling. Choices spans the spectrum of addiction activity. And it's about communication and what the problems are and where we go. Tell you a quick story. It's about the 1962 New York Mets. I don't know how many of you are baseball fans. I'm a big baseball fan and have been all my life. And the Mets were that amazing collection of Casey Stengels. And in 1962, where there were some future good players, but most of them cast-offs, has-beens, and never-would-be's of the baseball world. They had a shortstop by the name of Elio Chacon. The left fielder was a guy named Frank Thomas. Elio wasn't a very well-known name, and he still isn't. Frank Thomas had a couple of good years, but was basically a journeyman outfielder. And the center fielder was a guy by the name of Richie Ashburn, who, with the Philadelphia Phillies in the 1950s, was an all-star 7 or 8 times, won the 1957 National League Batting Championship, and was a great player, but he was now at the end of his career. And Richie discovered he had a problem that year because he would run in on fly balls in the short left center field. And as he was coming in to catch the ball, he's yelling, "I got it, I got it, I got it." And Elio Chacon, who's the shortstop, was running out and would run over Richie Ashburn, trying to catch the ball too. Just flat out. And Richie got mad at him. The third time this happened, he came into the dugout and he slammed his glove down and he said, I don't know what's going on. I'm sitting out there and I'm yelling, I got it, I got it, I got it. And Elio just runs me over. And there happened to be a guy on that team by the name of Choo Choo Coleman, another one of the really never-would-be's of baseball lore. But Choo Choo had a marvelous skill for that 1962 New York Mets team. Choo Choo was bilingual. And he said, Richie, I know your problem. I understand. Let me tell you, you're coming in yelling, I got it. Elio doesn't speak a single word of English. And he's going out, he doesn't know what you're saying. So, next time you come running in, you go, Cholatengo. Elio knows that's, I have it in Spanish, and he'll stop and let you catch the ball. And I'll talk to Elio before tomorrow's game, and everything will be fine. So the next day, they go out and they're walking the tunnel, and Richie goes up and stands next to Elio, and he goes, Cholatengo? And Elio goes, Si, Cholatengo! And they had it all worked out. And so, as fate had it, fourth inning, pop fly, short left center field. In comes Richie Ashburn. Out goes Elio Chacon, and Richie starts screaming, Cholatengo! And Elio stops and watches as Frank Thomas runs over Richie Ashburn. Because he didn't say I have it even once. So you have to communicate and get the word out and talk to people about what it is. And that's what the Choices program does as a communications tool. And what we hope to emphasize to you the communications aspect. Choices is an addiction awareness curriculum. It consists, and we'll watch these in a minute, of peer beignets. It has a complete facilitator's guide, and I've given you a copy of that we'll go through in a little while. It also has participant discussion questions, and it comes in this package, and it's very flexible, because as you see the beignets, you can consider how you might be able to incorporate them individually, as well as a complete package in the curriculum guidelines. Just briefly to let you know, that this was developed originally by the Missouri Lottery Corporation. The Missouri Lottery and its social responsibility directives and its legislative base wanted to get out and raise awareness of gambling addiction among the schools. And the schools said, well, that's nice, but we don't really have that problem. Well, the lottery quoting statistics says, well, you don't recognize you have the problem because gamblers are notoriously secretive, but they're in your schools. And the lottery said, what are you talking about? The school people said, no, we don't see it. And the lottery ran into a roadblock. But when they were doing their research, they discovered that, there is a need for some kind of adaptable awareness curriculum about all addictions. And the lottery, being a good business partner and good with social responsibility, says, we'll develop a program that addresses all addiction, and we'll slide a gambling component into it so that they can cover all of those directives. So that's what they did, and they spent a considerable amount of research and time and money in developing this addiction. There's plenty of seats up front. Just help yourself. So to develop all these programs to reach out to their schools with the production. And the Kentucky Lottery folks saw this and said, that's a pretty good program. They asked Missouri, can we take it and use it here? Missouri said, absolutely. So the Kentucky Lottery took it and brought it in and adapted it. For Kentucky, they came to the Kentucky Council. We are a private, nonprofit, 501c3 organization. As I mentioned, we do not have a pro or anti-gambling agenda, but we're trying to raise awareness. They asked us if we would like to have this as a product that we could offer through the council. Our professional advisor, Dr. Curtis Barrett, clinical psychologist, reviewed it, said it's a reasonable program, and so the Kentucky Council on Problem Gambling brings this piece forward. Yeah, there's my technical thing going on here. So we'll get to, so the lottery's social responsibility commitment And participation with the Kentucky Council on Problem Gambling is where this came from and why we're bringing it out to the public. We do have some unique situations in Kentucky there's different situations in every state, obviously. But our Kentucky culture, in a lot of areas, revolves around tobacco, bourbon, and horses. So right off the bat, we almost got 3 strikes against us with smoking and alcoholism and gambling. So we're trying to impart that information early is important, and I think some statistics back that up and bring that home. Are you all familiar with the Kentucky Incentives for Prevention Survey that's done by Reach of Louisville? They contract with the State Department of Behavioral Health, and in the fall of 2002, this is about the 6th year they've done this survey, but in the fall of 2002, they surveyed 115,000 public school students in grades 6, 8, 10, and 12. And here's what they discovered. The 30-day drunkenness frequency of those youth was 1.5% of 6th graders, 6.9% of 8th graders, 19.8% of sophomores, and 27.8% of seniors. The reliability factor on this survey is down in it's very low, around 2%, 2 to 3%. Lifetime alcohol usage is 13.6% for 6th graders, 33.2% for 8th graders, 55.7% for sophomores, and 66.9% for seniors. That means 2/3 of all high school seniors in Kentucky have used alcohol. Tobacco usage is lifetime tobacco usage is 11.2% among 6th graders, 29.6% among 8th graders, 49.6% among sophomores, and 60.6% among seniors. They survey marijuana, methamphetamine, inhalant, cocaine, prescription drugs without doctor's order, OxyContin, speeds uppers, tranquilizers, and over-the-counter drugs, and ecstasy, and illegal drugs. And all of those numbers, they start at OxyContin as lowest at 0.2% and go up to over-the-counter drugs at 10.3% for seniors. Illegal drugs, including hallucinogenics, is 15% for seniors. So it documents, and these statistics are available through Reach of Louisville Incorporated online if you have a need for those. Past year alcohol or drug abuse led to trouble at school for 9.1% of 6th graders, 9.8% of sophomores, 8.5% of sophomores, and 5.7% of seniors. Personal assessment that they have a drinking or a drug problem, 1% of 6th graders, 2.7% of 8th graders, 4.8% of sophomores, 5.1% of seniors. Having been drunk or high at school during the past year, 1% of 6th graders, 5.7% of 8th graders, 13.5% of sophomores, 16% of seniors. Lifetime gambling rate, 16.6% of 6th graders, 29.5% of 8th graders, 32.5% of sophomores, 33.3% of seniors. And gambling led to financial problems or problems in family, work, school, or personal life was between 2 and 2.2% for all 4 areas, which means Kentucky is right along with the national norms about how adolescents gamble. And if you look at a lot of these statistics, for instance, just the lifetime alcohol use, 13.6% for sixth graders, and then it jumps to 33.2% for eighth graders, and then 55.7% for sophomores, 66.9% for seniors. So we're seeing clearly in these, pretty much across the board in these statistics, that big jump in activity in these behaviors is between 6th and 8th grade. So the earlier and that this information can get started would suggest from a prevention standpoint a better chance to get people help for their health. So anyway, what is that help and what can we do? So I'm going to show you that we're going to sit and go through the whole video here. Just let you watch the video.
It's tough being a teenager. In fact, sometimes it actually bites. We're not kids anymore. We're old enough to make our own life decisions.
Which friends to hang with, which concerts to go to, what we do when adults aren't around. Our parents aren't watching us 24/7 like when we were little kids. But no matter where we go today, we're around or even pressured to try things.
Hold on, I hear ya. You're thinking, great, we have to watch another video. Don't do drugs, right? I know. We've heard it all before.
But think about it. There's a lot of crap shoved at us all at once. Beer, cigarettes, drinking, and even gambling. And you want to be down with it because that's what your friends are doing, right?
It seems all good at the time, but sometimes things can go wrong. You know what I'm talking about.
Life is about being free. It's about being able to pick the path I want to go down. It's about making choices. Beating addiction is one of those smart choices. That's what this is about. Addiction. And you have to choose the right path.
The thing that bothers me is all it takes is one mistake. One wrong turn here, a bad choice there. One mistake and I could lose all of my freedom, my plans, or even worse.
So how do you know when you and a friend may have gone too far? What is addiction? Addiction is an uncontrollable urge to do something. Like too much shopping, too much playing video games, too much net surfing. Or worse, doing drugs and drinking, even though you know it's illegal and bad for you. Anything that keeps you from doing what needs to be done.
You know, one addiction nobody talks about is gambling. Nobody talks about the fact that 85% of kids in high school have gambled.
Addictions ruin our life. I mean, we all know people who do drugs, gamble, smoke. Some of these people are our best friends, even our own family. Addicts don't just hurt themselves, they hurt everyone around them. Listen and learn. I did.
Yeah, so I used to know this guy. He loved soccer, football, you know. He was the leading scorer the year our team won districts. All the colleges were all over him just to play soccer for their team.
You know, scared and nervous, and they're all trying to beat me up in practice and make me do all this crazy stuff, but it was fun.
Jimmy was doing okay, trying to fit in, be one of the guys, but soon team bonding started to cause him some trouble.
Yeah, I never had played Texas Hold'em, actually. I'd never played poker before. All the soccer guys played, and so I just started. It started out like I was just playing, you know, $10 here, $20, okay, not a big deal. I don't like to lose, and I would always lose. Like the first month or two, I didn't really know what I was doing, you know, so I'd always lose to them, and it made me mad. I'm like, I'm better than these guys, you know, because I'm competitive. I wanted to win, you know. Hated losing.
Oh, yeah. We won 900, man. You just need 100 more to get 1,000. Come on.
He was playing poker every day with money he couldn't afford to lose.
I mean, it wasn't a lot of money probably compared to some of the stuff you see in the casino and stuff, but I mean, $50 every night, I mean, 7 days a week, that adds up. Well, we usually just play the cash game, so I'd say you bought in with 20, if you lost that, you might buy in for 20 more, and if you lost that, you might buy it. So I'd say anywhere from $20 to $60, and you'd probably win like once a week, win $100.
Jimmy's life took a wrong turn when some guy showed him a website where he could play poker online. He could win big money, right, without even having to work for it, you know.
I started playing on the internet, and that's when it got really bad. I was playing like 10 hours a day. I'd see the sun come up. I mean, I'd get out of school. Probably about 6 o'clock I'd start playing, and I'd play till 6 in the morning, and then that's when it got really bad. That's when I actually failed out of school, because I was staying up till 6 in the morning. I was going to bed. I got class at 8. Well, I wouldn't wake up at 8. I'd sleep in till 3 o'clock. Well, I just missed 3 classes. And then finally, in one day, I lost $2,700 on the internet. A lot of times, I'm like, you're stupid. What are you doing? Like, thinking to myself, what are you doing? But then I was just like, I know I can win. Like I don't know. And then when you do win, you feel like, oh, I got this, Well, sometimes winning is losing, actually. Because winning keeps you wanting to play.
Jimmy got caught in a cycle of addiction. Internet poker stopped being fun and turned into something like a job that was costing him money, a job he couldn't quit.
You'll win a bunch, and you'll feel really good about yourself. You'll have a week where you win like 4 days out of the week, and you're like, oh, I could do this. I could be like those guys on TV. And then then the problem is you'll have like 2 or 3 weeks where you lose. So, well, now you're $200, $300, $400, $500 in the hole.
Jimmy's parents found out. They wanted to help him out, lend him some money, but they didn't know how far Jimmy was gone.
That was a bad thing. That's the thing that hurt me the most, because I owed my mom and dad like $700, and I couldn't pay them, because they'd paid like $500, $600, $700 on my credit card. Problem is, now I have $600, $700 left on my credit card I can rack up, so I did it again.
Jimmy flunked out of school, lost his scholarship, and owed more than $3,000 on his credit card, but still he denied having a gambling problem.
My mom was really concerned. She'd cry and ask me what she could do and what was the matter with me. And then my dad's the complete opposite. He'll just tell me I'm stupid and what are you doing, man? So I actually went to and saw Kay at the recovery center in Lee Summit, and at first I just went to make my mom happy because I owed her the money and she wanted me to go, and I was like, I don't think I have a problem, And I just thought it was stupid, and I was like, fine, I'll go. There was this other guy there that he had lost his business. He owned a woodworking shop. He lost his business, his house, and he was living in like this 1-bedroom, 1-bath little shack thing, and he was stealing money from his parents. And this guy's like 50, and his parents are like 80 years old. You see these people like, man, they lost everything. They lost their house, their marriage. Their life is just messed up, and so I finally realized, wow, I'm headed in that direction. Couldn't do it. I thought I could be the world champion of poker and be a millionaire and never have to worry about going to school again and, blah, 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 blah. Nope, didn't work out.
So it makes you think. What starts out as harmless fun can turn into insanity. He got kicked out of college and has to work 2 jobs just to pay off his debt. Funny thing is, he still has student loans and no degree to show for it. He's going to be working a long time to pay off that mistake.
I have a friend who used to live next door to me. We hung out a lot, but her family was messed up. Her mom was an addict, hooked on heroin. That's pretty bad, but Teresa made it worse because of bad decisions. Way worse.
I can remember probably in 1st grade noticing that my mother wasn't coming home at night and noticing my father leaving late hours of the night looking for my mom and coming home just baffled because he didn't know where my mom was, and she was smoking crack. I mean, just watching my mother not come home at night and going to school without my hair done or going to school with dirty clothes on because my mother wasn't there to get me dressed because she was out getting high all night.
She was lost, scared, and depressed. Teresa was just looking for somebody to love her, something like a new family.
My mother wasn't there, my father wasn't very supportive. What I was searching for was somewhere to fit in and somewhere to belong. I just started staying out all night. I started dating older men. I started smoking weed and drinking, and I dropped out of school at 12, and I started selling dope at 12 or 13. I joined a gang at 13, so that was pretty much where I got all my love from.
When Teresa was in the gang, she was stealing cars, robbing stores, and selling drugs. One day, she got caught shoplifting and got arrested. She was locked up in juvie. You would think that would have sent her a signal that her life was heading the wrong direction.
I just sat around all day and I felt sad, I felt hopeless, and I started having those feelings about wanting to change my life, because I knew I didn't want to keep doing that over and over. But after I would get out, I'd get out and do the same thing. I mean, my intentions were good. I would always tell myself I'm not going to get into any more trouble, I'm going to go to school, I'm going to do right, and I would get out and hang around the same people, and the same things would happen.
Her life was flat out horrible, horrible, and it was about to get worse.
My mother died from a crack overdose right around that time, and that had a huge effect on me. I started to get high on crack, on the same thing that she got high on, just to see what she was feeling and why she would leave me when I was young, why she would put that before me and why she would put that before her life. But I didn't think I was going to get hooked on it. I started doing some of the same things that she did when she was smoking crack, and I started to prostitute. I started to steal from my family. I did a lot of stuff to get high, things that went against my morals and my values.
Her mama was dead, and her addiction was taking over her life. Reality was so messed up for Teresa, she turned into a different person.
I became homeless. I was living on the streets. I was living in cars, and that's how I lived for about a year. Just living on the streets and prostituting and stealing and doing what I had to do to get high. I can remember one day sitting on the corner, and I had been up for probably 5 days with no sleep, and I was trying to get a date, and I was just so wore out and so tired that wouldn't nobody even pick me up because I looked such a mess. And I can just remember thinking that I was going to die just like my mother.
Teresa thought a change of scenery would change her life, so she took a bus and moved to a new town. She didn't realize her addiction moved right along with her.
Initially, I met some guy, and he was showing me where to get high at, and he would take me to these guys that would pay for sex so I could get money. So to speak, he was kind of like a temporary pimp, I guess. And he would take me to different guys' house so I can make money and get us high.
The cycle of addiction was so bad that even Teresa knew she needed help. She hit her lowest point.
And I completed treatment, and I got back out, and I was introduced to Narcotics Anonymous in that treatment center. I was ready to try something different because obviously drinking didn't work, smoking marijuana didn't work, moving to different places didn't work. So I was willing to try something different that I hadn't tried at that point because I was so sick of repeating the same pattern over and over. At that point, I realized that I have to do something different. I can't keep moving. I can't keep trying, stuff that's proven that it doesn't work.
After Teresa broke her cycle of addiction and got clean, she started to understand. She realized that when someone is addicted, it's not just themselves that get hurt. Addiction is kind of like a tornado. It cuts a path of destruction through everything and everyone,
I mean, I hurt a lot of people in my addiction. I mean, I stole from my father. I broke in his house and took everything out of his house. I broke promises to my family, to my sister, to my nieces. I broke promises to myself. I mean, I was prostituting. I mean, so obviously I didn't care about anything, much less myself.
I'm glad she's doing good now. Muy bien. She was hooked a long time. She's been in and out of rehab many times, and she still has to fight her addiction every day.
Yeah, my older brother had a friend. His name was Sean. His best friend, actually. Big jock in school. Great athlete. We won state when he was in his junior year. But what people didn't know is he came from a broken home. His stepdad would beat him. Sometimes, he didn't know where to go. But the choices he did make, he ended down a long, dark road.
Well, when I was 12 years old, I started seeking out attention because I moved from my father's to here in Columbia with my mother and my stepfather. And he didn't accept me because I wasn't his kid, because I had half brothers and sisters, and he didn't show me any attention like he did his kids or anything. He was a lazy bum, and he just sat around the house all day and just anything. I was always my little brother's hero because I was the only one that ever tried to do anything to defend him when he was getting beat on. And I was just at the right age where I decided I was going to step up and try to be a man. And I was in the kitchen, and I don't know what happened, but he was smacking around my brother and my sister. I don't even remember what it was, but I just ran and drove my shoulder into him and fell down the stairs. And we fell down the stairs.
You little punk! I'm gonna kill you!
I knew I had to get out of there before he got up. That's what forced me to run away.
You know, Sean was only 13 years old when he ran away, had to start living on the streets. Man, his life was tough. Not to mention, that's where he met drugs. Yeah, that's where he started smoking weed, got busted by the cops, and got sent away to the foster family.
Yeah, they've been doing foster care for years, and the male figure in the family was a ex-college athlete, and he played college football, and he was just trying to do things to get to know me. We was playing football out in the yard one day, and he seen that I had a little bit of talent, and that's where I focused straight on sports, because I could see that I had some talent. I was real happy. When I played football, I was a fullback. I rushed for almost 100 yards every game. And we did real good.
Let's try!
Yeah, we had a real good team.
Man, he had everything going for him. He was a football star. He had people wanting to hang out with him. He makes one bad choice, and his golden days were over.
Another team member, we was just out doing something. We was out riding around after football practice, and he broke out a bag of marijuana, and he rolled it up, and he just asked me if I did it before, and I said yeah. I started smoking, and then after that, we just made it like an everyday thing. After practice, we went and smoked, and then it just went down from there. By the end of the year, I was arrested and kicked out of my foster home, and my foster dad was so disgusted with me, he didn't ever speak to me again. They quit doing foster care. I got so attached, it kind of broke their heart. I don't know, it made me feel bad because we got so close over the years, and you don't know what you're doing until you've already did it. When the damage is done, you can't fix it.
John was living on the streets again. Dropped out of school, started selling drugs. He got addicted to weed, so he lost football scholarship, his education, and his foster family. How could it get worse?
Well, I was selling marijuana, and I ran into these guys that smoked marijuana and did methamphetamines, and started using methamphetamines with them, and I was a lot younger than these guys. They started having me buy the stuff to give to them so that they could make meth. And then in return, they would give me a little bit of methamphetamines. And as things progressed, I stopped messing with the marijuana because I was in a real short time, found myself hooked on methamphetamine.
So one day, Sean figures out they're just using him. The rednecks are just seeing him as a pawn in their eyes. So he decides to cook it himself and sell it. Just one more bad choice in a string of bad choices. Except this one left a mark.
One day I just decided I got everything here. Why don't I just do this myself, and then I don't need these guys. I never cooked it before, and I had a buddy that did know how.
I've done this so many times. It's fine. Okay. Just make sure you're doing everything I say, all right?
All right, dude. All right.
All right, did you mix it all in?
Yeah. We had everything ready in the front seat.
You gotta get the tubes and stuff.
I'm trying to perform the act, and I don't think we had everything we needed.
Did you get the box?
Yeah. Somebody lit a lighter.
What are you doing? Stop!
Blew up in between my legs. Car just in flames. So at that point we was both on fire, and somehow we both managed to get out of the car.
John! John!
We were out in the middle of nowhere, and we ended up having to walk miles to safety.
John was lucky, I guess. Although he survived, he's really messed up now. He's got burn scars all over his body, and he's been to jail, and he's got a felony on his record. Good luck getting a job now. Well, he got help with his addiction, but he's got to fight it every day.
I remember this one guy on the team, I really respected him. He had everything, speed, footwork. He was the real deal. I learned a lot from him.
My junior year, we were outstanding. Played with a group of guys that still to this day that I love and I see. And I think we were 10-2 that year, great team. And that was the year I really sold into football and sold into it as a whole, and gave it my all.
After graduation, he got a full ride scholarship. He had it made. Then he realized some of his bad decisions started to impact his football life.
I went to college, and because of my grades, they had the red shirt. Football was gone. I couldn't just go play football. That began to get frustrated and carried over to me not going to class for no apparent reason. Began to smoke marijuana and drink a little more and do things that weren't me and weren't conducive to my success.
With football, his life was on track. Without it, his life started to fall apart. He had to realize that football wasn't life. Rob eventually flunked out of school, moved back home, became an everyday average Joe just like everybody else. That's when the decisions he made started to hit him like a nasty linebacker.
I'd be a baller for Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday comes and I'm broke. Wondering how I'm gonna pay my rent. Here comes the electric man knocking at my door. Things like that, it really made no sense. And not until Sunday maybe did I think about it, and then to stop thinking about it, stop feeling so stupid about the decision, I just grab some more marijuana or something and medicate that way. I got addicted to that lifestyle, so I began to make stupid decisions like, I think I'm gonna go shopping as opposed to going to pay my rent. Mistakes after mistake.
Oh yeah, he was living it big, but he couldn't control his temper off the field, and that's when his lifestyle started to turn on him.
I actually managed to get in trouble with an ex-girlfriend of mine. Altercation happened at our house, and things got out of hand. Things were said and things like that. Make a long story short, the police were called, and I was shipped off to jail.
Wait till I get out. It's gonna be me and you.
Yeah, and I was selfish enough to think that I was the only one that I was affecting. And that's another, I guess, warp of that lifestyle, is that it makes you think, Friday and Saturday nights you think you're God, or you're the baddest, biggest person in the bar. And those ran into my weeks, and it began to run into the way that I lived and the way that I treated people. I'm sitting there by myself trying to figure this all out. Not until then that it began to make sense.
After doing some jail time, we're having to get counseling, had to work really hard to keep a job and stay clean. I hear he's doing okay.
I don't think I've actually still come to grips with it about, just because I had a counselor tell me, I was like, man, football was taken and it's gone. And he's like, no, it wasn't taken, you gave it up. Like, that was a choice you made. You flat out gave it up. Every day it still knocks. Every day, it's a battle every day not to use, or it's a battle every day not to go try to try to still relive that lifestyle.
Life for Rob would have been okay if he would just stuck to his plan and stayed clean. It's like every bad decision you make in life, something's always taken away. You skip practice, you get benched. Smoke pot, you get kicked off the team. Skip class, get kicked out of school. Allow yourself to get angry and start a fight, get arrested, and then all adds up.
I guess once you pick the right path, you have to keep picking it every day. It's tough. Some of us are at a higher risk of becoming an addict because it's in our genes, but everyone's at risk.
Do addictions run in your family? Do you know if you're at risk of addiction? Do you know which road to choose?
Nobody drinks one beer and think they're going to become an alcoholic. Nobody makes one bet and think they're going to become a compulsive gambler. But it happens.
People can ruin their lives as what just starts as one beer or one bet. Only you have the power to make the choices of what you participate in. Are you going to make the right choices?
If you pick destructive behaviors like drinking, smoking, gambling, or taking drugs, know that what you're doing is illegal. You could be arrested, and doing these things at our age would make you more likely to become an addict as an adult.
It doesn't matter if you're popular or not. You can be a prep, jock, nerd, emo. Addiction can happen to anyone. It can even happen to you. Gambling, drinking, and using drugs, they're not ways to escape from your problems or to keep from being bored.
Any one of your friends may have risk factors that make them more likely to become addicted. Maybe you do too. Here's what to look out for.
A family history of addictions.
High levels of stress.
A victim of child abuse.
Feelings of loneliness.
Suffering from depression.
Feelings of boredom.
Suffering from a low self-esteem or insecurity.
A desire to escape.
Mourning the loss of a family member or friend.
And being unrealistic about goals.
No one plans to become an addict. Unfortunately, when someone does become addicted, it destroys the addict's life and those around them, especially those that mean the most to them.
An addiction can ruin your life. It nearly ruined the lives of these people. They're lucky they found help. Help is available to you too. You can seek it in your friends, a school counselor, or your teachers.
If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call for free help at 1-800-GAMBLER. For substance abuse treatment, call 1-800-221-0446 or the National Substance Abuse Hotline, 1-800-622-HELP.
You may be sitting there thinking this is all a joke, but it's not funny when it's happening to you or someone you know.
Remember, anything done in excess is dangerous, and at our age, it may even be illegal.
If you're headed down the wrong path, walk away.
It's never too late to change the path you're on. You'll be glad you did.
Each one of those tiles is separated out on the DVD. So you can break those down. It's flexible so that you can use it however it might work best for you for that particular vignette. If you're dealing with, you got to have a class and you're dealing particularly with some kind of substance abuse, you can pick one of those vignettes that directly apply to that. I know I go back to when I was raising my children, having them sit down and watch a 25-minute video about something like this might be a little problematic, but if you can break it out into a number of classes where you're just using 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, then you can catch things and you can blend it in with other activities. You do have before you the curriculum, and if you go in about 3 pages, you'll notice that we're still a little bit dated because it does at the top say Kira. But nonetheless, This does present some goals that can be met by using this video. And the next couple of 3 pages go in and talk about academic expectations for the various grade levels that you might be working with. So this is applicable with work on career studies and practical living aspects of the college and career readiness measurements. Yes?
How do you access this DVD or this video? Is it online?
No, but I'll get to that in a minute.
Okay.
We have, just quickly go through this guide. The whole package gives you a 50-minute lesson plan. So you can follow it right through. It's all lined out in detail here. That's one way to do it. Or you can break it down into each one of those vignettes, and all of those pieces are in here. But I also think if you had a program, let's say you had a DARE officer coming in, it might be appropriate to take one of the vignettes that would be applicable to support that presentation and cut it out and blend it in with something else that you already have worked up for a lesson. I think it has great flexibility for that. The package also, these blue cards and they're detailed, are discussion questions that you can break your groups into small groups to talk about what is addiction and answer various questions and get feedback back and forth with them. So you've got that availability as well. And then at the end, there's some information, warning signs, discussions about how to approach folks to make interventions if the problem looks like it's taking place, and then resource phone numbers are in the back. You can develop a very quick and easy pre-test and post-test. If that would be something of interest, one of our board members can help with that. Very few questions before you give the presentation to see what the level of knowledge is, and then afterwards if they can answer the same questions, like that final piece on what is warning signs of addiction, those types of activities. So that's available, and then in the very back of that is an evaluation. You've got the lottery you'd like to have if you want to use that. So, one message that I'd like to leave with you is what I call kind of a weird math piece, and that's to explain that in all of these things we do, 1 + 1 equals 4. And math teachers don't like it when I mention that. But I heard this story came from a lady by the name of Dorothy Johnson, the mayor of Appleton, Wisconsin. And I heard this about 20 years ago, but it still rings true to me. And she said if you have a log of Douglas fir that is 6 inches in diameter and 8 foot long, that log will support 4,000 pounds in weight. And then she asked if you have 2 identical logs, 6 inches in diameter and 8 foot long, how much weight will those 2 logs support? And she asked the question, and there were answers. Some people said, well, 8,000. And she said, yes, but how much more? And somebody said 12,000. She said, yes, but how much more? And the answer is just under 16,000 pounds. 1 does 4,000. 2 does 16,000. 1 + 1 equals 4. And then she explained that this is a physics principle of synergy. And that principle of synergy works in human dynamics as well. So that if we can come together as more than one to bring a message and bring a communications together, we can accomplish more than we can individually by ourselves. And that's further that communications message that goes along with telling people and trying to help folks understand where they're headed.